Whistleblower Pieter Snyders has made some damning allegations against British American Tobacco. Snyders told the British broadcasting channel that he spied and bribed people to help cigarette giant BAT sabotage rivals. However, the cigarette company has denied these allegations. So for more reaction on this, we're joined by the Chairperson for Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association, Mr. Sinenhlanhla Mnguni. Mr. Mnguni, thank you for your time and good morning to you. I don't even know where to start, because should I say you're surprised by these allegations or not? Because you have been trying to bring, some of these allegations to book from as far back as 2016, and you're saying that those efforts have been ignored. But now we're hearing on international platforms that there is smoke here and there needs to be investigated.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your show. Yes, I'm not completely surprised by the revelation of these new allegations. Of course, the revelations by Mr. Snyders are new to us, but in totality, a lot of what was aired in the BBC Panorama documentary is stuff that we knew and we were alive to, and we had brought to the attention of law enforcement agencies as far back as 2016, when we laid a criminal complaint against the very same multinational that's now been brought into the spotlight again under these new allegations. So we are quite taken aback by the fact that up to now, law enforcement agencies have refused or shown a reluctance to act against these multinationals, particularly in an environment where we've seen law enforcement agents, in some instances, acting very swiftly as soon as allegations against certain individuals and organizations have come to the surface.
Now, but why do you think this is so? There's so much here that law enforcement, or at least authorities responsible, for looking into such syndicates, could actually investigate, or could have at least started investigating years ago when the allegations first started around, some of the illegalities around BAT's operations. Why do you think a blind eye has been turned to this and continues to be?
Look, as many of the people who were interviewed by the BBC have stated, you're dealing with a very powerful organization, which generates trillions in revenue per annum. So it is quite a difficult animal to tackle in as far as governments showing the will. And we've seen this worldwide in other countries, not just in South Africa. Just up north in Zimbabwe, there are similar allegations, Malawi, Kenya, and the list goes on. So I think there's just no political will to upset the apple cart and to take on these multinationals. And I think in order to inspire the confidence of South Africans and for us to believe in the rule of law, action needs to be taken. These are very serious allegations, and the consequences are far-reaching. So I don't think that this should be left untouched. And I think I echo the sentiments of everyone else who has given comment in as far as this topic is concerned, and I think something needs to be done to inspire confidence in law enforcement.
Yeah, Mr. Mnguni, give us some context in terms of what FETA members had to go through. If I read correctly in some of what you've mentioned before, and FETA members, by the way, are obviously British American Tobacco's competitors here. They've had even as far as, their boardrooms and phones bugged.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about this whole thing, is that, these are very serious allegations. The first ever FETA meeting, our understanding is that was bugged. We've had bugging devices placed on our members' vehicles. Staff members were infiltrated and placed in various factories belonging to our members in order to report to British American Tobacco. Law enforcement agencies were also captured, to use the now popular term, where cameras of the Johannesburg Metro Police Department were utilized in order to spy on the movements of some of the vehicles of our members. There were lots of payments, based on the evidence which is emanated from this documentary, lots of payments made to politicians and law enforcement officials in order to support these unlawful efforts by British American Tobacco to, they say contain the illicit trade, but we submit that this was nothing more than an anti-competitive venture. And, to this day, our members still live in fear of what may be happening without their knowledge. And until this issue is addressed, we have had a lot of issues in as far as being fully trusting of law enforcement agencies and the state's organs in as far as their enforcement of the tobacco industry. And this has come out on many instances. We still feel that there are instances where there's unequal treatment of players along the tobacco industry value chain, where the multinationals receive more favorable treatment and the local independent manufacturers are treated as unwanted, family members. So we feel that something needs to be done in order for government to inspire confidence amongst the many role players in the tobacco industry,
right,
and to create a belief that law enforcement agencies are not using double standards.
Yeah, I hear your point when you say that, FETA members are still living in fear. I can imagine even the whistleblowers, also, those obviously giving evidence, living in fear, especially with this country and seeing what could happen, should you blow the whistle on corruption. But with that being said, I know you answered earlier on that it seems, it's a big national company, quite powerful. But who, in your opinion, do you think is being protected here?
Look, it's difficult to say. I mean, we know that the structures of multinationals make it very difficult to say who exactly is behind these efforts. I mean, these are very big and sophisticated machines. So it's difficult to say or identify individuals. Safe to say that we know who the multinational behind a lot of these unlawful activities is. And I think we understand that there are a lot of vested interests in as far as the shareholding of this particular multinational, both locally and abroad. For instance, we know the Public Investment Corporation has a lot of shareholding in this particular multinational. There's of course a lot of historical connections between this particular multinational and South Africa and the South African government. So it's very difficult to pinpoint and identify individuals, but of course we know that this multinational has a long history and has for a long time been very powerful and dominant in the South African tobacco industry.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go in a few minutes. Before I do my last question to you, I know you have appealed to law enforcement to do their work and to obviously continue with investigations and bring justice where it needs to be. But should law enforcement fail, at this, at these allegations that we're seeing, especially at the broader scheme of things, when we look at illicit trade, what's then the future of your industry should you fail to obviously bring justice in this instance?
Look, as we stated in our press release, should law enforcement agencies deem that there is not sufficient evidence in their view to prosecute the crimes which we allege have been committed, we will then ask for them to issue nolle prosequi certificates in order for attorneys then to proceed with private prosecutions if necessary. But again, we continue to urge government in as far as the tobacco industry to act independent of any influence from any party and to follow the provisions of the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control as recommended by the World Health Organization. We've seen too many instances, I mean, even to this day, where multinationals in the South African tobacco industry have a lot of power and influence over what happens in the industry and as far as its regulation is concerned.
Right. Well, of course, we'll leave it then. Thank you for speaking to us. That's Sinenhlanhla Mnguni from FETA. And we'll be working on getting a response from British American Tobacco tomorrow morning. It has, however, released a statement in which it says that it will, or rather, it emphatically rejects these allegations and obviously the allegations made on BBC.